This is Jody Mosier, Tony Spinelli, and Eugene Driscoll.
Yeah.
This is the Valley Indy podcast, Navel Gazing.
Woo!
It's Friday, 3:45, and we're sort of sitting here talking about our new Facebook policy where if you want to comment on our stories, you need to sign in through Facebook. We started that this week, I think Monday or Tuesday?
Monday or Tuesday, yeah. Can't remember which.
I think it's been going well so far. We've had people commenting, signing up.
Yep.
And we thought we'd talk a little bit about why we did that, because there was one or two people who were questioning whether it was a good idea.
Had 4 complaints so far. 4 complaints. And I think, the people that, if you're not on Facebook and you hate Facebook and you don't want to get a Facebook account, this isn't going to make you happy.
Yeah.
The reason this has been coming forever. I mean, I've wanted to do this for at least 7 months. And, we don't have control over the back end of our system. We're not developers here. We're not web programmers. We're reporters and editors. So we can't make technical changes at the drop of the hat. So we did it. I want to encourage people to use their real names. We really don't want to have anonymous comments anymore. If people want to send us tips about things in their community, you can always email us anonymously or go ahead and put your real name in. If it's anonymous, we won't repeat it. But essentially what's happened in the last 2 years is that there's really 2 Valley Independent Sentinels. There's valleyindy.org, where our stories go, and that's our site proper. But the comments, the conversation, the interaction clearly happens at facebook.com/Valley Independent Sentinel. And why that is so, I can't really explain, but, we launched in a post-Facebook world. Our sister site, the New Haven Independent, which has great comments on their site proper, launched before Facebook existed. So it's just developed, every community is different, every website is different, every news site is different. But we essentially have our comments go on Facebook, our stories go on Valley Indy. Now, what ended up happening was you could sign up for Valley Indy previously with an email. I would verify it, and you could comment on our site. And clearly, the majority, I don't think this is a stretch. The majority of our commenters, especially recently, were people taking advantage of the anonymity. Mm-hmm. So a lot of comments weren't getting up. They were making accusations, whether it be allegations of impropriety or just personal attacks, or a lot of it's like your average comment starts off with a great reasoned defense or reason why something is bad. It's all thought out, and it always ends with, "Oh, and by the way, Mayor blah 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 is an a-hole," and then then
you can't put that comment.
You don't. We didn't want to edit comments. I didn't want to get into all that. So I started to feel like, well, wait a second. We have people on our Facebook account using their first and last name, debating issues, willing to put their first and last name to everything. So I'm hoping this will bring some of that to the site. And the negative comments, about this switch, one person said they just, Mark Zuckerberg is a dishonest businessman and doesn't want to be associated with them. And there's nothing, 20% of our traffic comes on Facebook. If you look at our Facebook, that's right, where all the comments already are happening.
And,
so
I've actually met people out on the street in the Valley who, when they hear them from the Valley Indy, they say, "Oh, you've got that site on Facebook, the Valley Indy site on Facebook."
So they see us as Facebook.
I think a lot of people do. They think of us as we're a Facebook newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if they're clicking on the stories and coming to the site, that's good. But if they're getting a sense of community on Facebook too, that's also good. I'd like to see them come to the site and see more of the other news stories too. Maybe we don't post it right away, the news story on Facebook, or maybe there's something else, like an interview with a business owner that we don't right away put on Facebook. Then they can come to the site and see everything.
Yeah, and then I guess there's also people that think we come out once a week as an email newsletter. It's hard to, the thing about the internet and getting people to visit a site that, it's not on physical paper. They have to develop a habit. Mm-hmm. One thing, our traffic has not dropped off since we made the switch. the amount of comments hasn't really dropped off.
It's about the same.
Because we never really got many comments on the Valley Indy in the beginning. And that was, people, the few negative comments we got about this said, well, I'll never comment anymore. No one will ever comment. We weren't getting a lot of comments, And we did have, just recently, and I know Sharp Eye, someone tried to out Sharp Eye, and we had somebody use a false phone number and blah, blah, blah. That was all just stupid, immature, idiotic. I don't know how else to say that.
Bickering. It was just bickering.
Childish crap.
Yeah.
That didn't trigger this though. It was actually a coincidence because I had asked about this months and months ago. But that was nice to kind of say, oh look, we've got this crap going on. Why do I have to? And I don't mean to get all negative, but I got a cold and it's Friday. But I liken it to if you're a business owner, if you're against this. Or, we suck for making this switch. I mean, if someone comes over and defecates on your doorstep and then just goes on your merry way, their merry way, and you have to deal with it, that's what I felt like dealing with these comments all the time. If you get somebody who leaves negative comments, and I would find myself like trying to defend it and trying to say how it's good and how it works, but then I thought, well, I'm a reporter and an editor. Why do I have to deal with this?
Yeah.
A merchant wouldn't deal with this if, you don't have to. It was just becoming unruly. And I worked in places where we let comments go no matter what. And I was a huge defender of that. It's just different when it's your neighbor because we're so small and we know a lot of the people. So anyway, that's that.
First and last name, you think people will be more civil and you'll have more of a debate on our site now? That
was the goal.
Yeah.
Or at the least it would stop the personal attacks. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, it's, we're still getting comments. I figure, the Valley's proven that people are comfortable to speak their mind with their first and last name. If you go to our Facebook account,
it's true.
People are gutsy. And I started to think, well, you got these gutsy people doing it on Facebook. Why am I letting essentially cowards on the other side, And I know who you are.
Well, and
keep that in mind.
There's a reason to be anonymous sometimes, but
right. But one thing that was great about Oxford last year, or I guess it was 2 years ago, during the Oxford election, the anonymity. Yes, it got too heated, and that was probably my mistake to let people attack each other. I was coming from a background that was unfiltered, had much larger newspapers, where it was okay sort of to do that because it was there was a buffer. But that being said, we would call politicians, people running for office in Oxford and asking about issues, and we would get the BS, wouldn't go off the press release, that old politician where I'm just going with that, the press release would make no sense, but that's all they would stick with. And then you'd look on our site and you'd see the anonymous comments. Oh, here's what's really going on.
Yeah, you would get
9 times out of 10,
story.
right? We got news tips off it. There was definitely some value. But in the end, I'm willing to sacrifice page views for, we don't want to hurt people.
Mm-hmm. And I think civil discussion is better than bickering and fighting. Because honestly, we can encourage people to have a debate. You don't have to agree. I don't think everyone should agree.
No, you can still fight.
Yeah, you don't have to be nice. You don't have to say, you're the best. You can say if something bothers you or an issue. But with your name, if you're talking face-to-face, most often it doesn't get down to a fist fight. Whereas online, anonymously, it's sort of, the
it goes to gutter,
equivalent
right.
of, this
it goes to the gutter right away. So, and also, this puts, I'd have people sort of going after me all the time. Why do you allow this? Why do you? And I'd kind of turn up, well, what's the matter with your town? What's the matter with the people in your town or the issues of the politicians that there's such hate going on?
Yeah.
So now it's done. Can't do it anymore. So that's that.
So sign up for Facebook.
So I know this really disappoints Tony because Tony was clearly going on there and bashing. Why? I never got that. Those times when you complain about yourself, I thought that was. I read that somewhere where a guy wrote a letter to a magazine. It was the reporter who wrote the piece.
About himself?
He attacked himself under a false name and as a goof, and somehow they finally got fired. So
that's all.
That's all I got.
Have
See ya.
Have a good weekend.